Hi, my name is Kimberly Sanchez, and this is my week 3 discussion for PPA 500. Today I'm going to be talking about Gulick, Maslow, and Merton, not in that specific order. First, I'm starting off with Gulick. Specifically, the idea. So one of the things in his chapter is he talk about the need for specialization. The bigger your company grows, or as fields of knowledge get like more diverse, um, it's harder for individuals to keep up like with knowing every aspect of it. So specialized roles are needed more often, and that's on page 106 in chapter 14, notes on the theory of organization, section 1, division of work. The example that I kind of connected it to for real life was the enterprise resource planning like service. Kind of it's so within my company we use SAP to monitor like our hiring is done on SAP, our time clock is done on SAP, payroll, benefits, purchasing, contracts, like all of those things are all housed within that one enterprise resource planning. And it's an all-encompassing thing, but kind of like the more you go out and out, the harder it is to kind of master every aspect of it. So for mine specifically, like one example was I work at a college, and there was there was decentralization when it came to purchasing, but when they were having a lot of issues with errors and like people not following policy or not doing documents correctly, and then I was hired and then they centralized, and it became a thing where me doing it by myself because I had the specialized skills was a lot better than the entire campus doing it separately. We were able to get through a lot more work with a lot like less errors. For Merton, something that it was like an actual paragraph that I read where it was just about no matter the way that the person is given his position within the hierarchy, if he has people, if he is like a representative of power, there will always be like authority, and then which leads to like a domineering attitude. And it's not about like it's sometimes if they're like that type, if they're like a kind of a negative leaning person by default, they might abuse that power. But sometimes people, it's just because of the position you're in. One of the example he gives is an unemployed worker getting their check, and how them like the way when they go to the clerk to request a check, they feel like the person has a domineering attitude because they are in a position of power, because they are the ones giving them the money. And it's just like an interesting concept within my personal like college. I feel like our board, who is very separated from our colleges, has become like that figure where it's like they don't understand, they're disconnected. And it may, even though they're elected by like the county itself, it's still disconnected, and it's just too far gone for us to really feel like, oh, this is a person that I could talk to. And that's like an overall issue around. The section that I got was page 20. Sorry, where I got the line was page 121 in chapter 16, bureaucratic structure and personality, section introduction. The last section is Maslow. Maslow, I had a kind of a hard time because I had already had some knowledge about Maslow in comparison with the other two. And so then you kind of have this idea of like, oh yeah, that's something that's commonly understood. But when I was like reading through it, it's kind of like he already sets he sets off the actual like thought. Like it's easy to judge something if you don't have something that's stable, and that's why he created like the hierarchy of needs. And so on page 127, it talks about like that it's easy to kind of like criticize motivation theory than to actually fix it, because there's no set system in place. And that's on the introduction section. Specifically, he tends to think that he talks about like people who have not had food for a time, and how their only thought is that if they could have food, then they would be happy for the rest of their life. And then the reality being that that is not true. Like there's so much that a person needs in order to survive. A study that I thought about when like within this concept was about babies who were born to women in prison, and how they were given food, they were given like like a place to sleep and all of that, but they weren't given attention, and the babies slowly died because of that lack of attention. And somehow it's like it's not the physiological need that actually makes the difference, it's the attention. And sometimes we just it's there is no set thing of what you need to survive that you can kind of extrapolate within one system. It varies depending from people to people.